All right, guys, week 0 is in the books. Now, there was only 2 FBS versus FBS games today, but the results of those games actually had an impact on my week 0, my preseason top 25. So we've had a few changes here. Let's go ahead and discuss my week 1 top 25 as we move in to week 1, where the full college football slate goes ahead and starts. Starting at number 25, this is kind of where the movement begins. I admittedly had SMU in my preseason top 25. That's the only dropout here. I was pretty high on them going into the season, and they kind of had a lot of reasons for optimism. Talking about SMU, last year they were arguably the best G5 school there was. Won the American Conference. They brought in a lot of transfers. They had a lot of guys coming back, moving to the ACC, kind of up their transfer portal value, but they didn't look very good today. They got lucky to get out of there with Nevada with a win, so they drop out of the top 25, but as long as they keep winning out, they would be all right in the end. But as of right now, they're going to drop out. But 25, the team that is obviously the only team really dropping here, minus SMU, is Florida State. Florida State, I've kept them in the top 25 here just to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not gonna lie, they didn't look very good today. DJ Ugalele, a quarterback in particular, looked a little spotty. And I saw a stat: Mike Norvell without Jordan Travis at quarterback is like 2-8 overall. So I'm curious to see how that actually comes into fruition this year. I think DJU is all right as a quarterback. I don't think he's terrible. He's a winner. He's not going to put up a lot of good stats. Really, he's not going to just look like the most polished passer in the pocket or anything. But he's going to get wins regardless. He's won at Clemson. He's won at Oregon State. If you can win at Oregon State, you can probably win at Florida State. But I said going into this week, I thought Georgia Tech would beat Florida State, so that did happen. But I said again, even though that was the case, even though I thought Georgia Tech would beat them, I thought if they played later on in the year, Florida State would probably get the win. But with Florida State being a completely new roster, with Georgia Tech having some guys come back, I thought they would beat them. So I think Florida State will be okay in the long run. But they've got no slouch next week. Boston College comes to town. Thomas Castellanos is a really good dual threat quarterback, could give them some trouble. But Florida State is too talented right now to leave out of the top 25 despite that loss. All right, so 24, this is the only team entering the top 25 for me this week. Georgia Tech got the win over Florida State. Now, that was a neutral site game in Ireland, so that could have some effect on the game. But benefit of the doubt goes to Georgia Tech. Haynes King, anytime you've got him in the game and quarterback, you've got a chance to win the game. He's a gamer, and he's pretty talented. We saw last year, despite some of their losses, that they showed they could be competitive with some of the better teams. They played with Georgia. I know that's a rivalry game, but still, they showed they could keep it close. All right, so we're going to fly through the rest of this list because we didn't really change anything here. 23, Louisville, they're pretty talented this year. Jeff Brom, I think, gives them opportunity to be the top 25 team consistently now. 22, Kansas State, they lose Will Howard, but Avery Johnson is a quarterback. Chris Kleiman has earned the benefit of the doubt here to be a top 25 team perennially. 21, West Virginia. Garrett Greene at quarterback gives them opportunity to win most games. Now, they do play Penn State in week 1, so that's going to be a game to watch. 20, USC. Yes, they lost Caleb Williams. Yes, they're headed to the Big Ten, but Lincoln Riley always has a talented team. Miller Moss looked pretty good in their bowl game. They should be all right this year. Now, will they make it in the Big Ten week in and week out? We'll see. 19, Iowa State. I think they were a sleeper in the Big 12. They are top 5 in returning production in the country. They've got their quarterback back. They've got their running back back. They've got the majority of their offense back. They should be definitely a player in the Big 12. Number 18, Iowa. They're always going to be a top 25 team at some point with that defense. Now, if Cade McNamara can hit at quarterback, former Michigan quarterback, I think Iowa could actually be a sleeper playoff team with the way their schedule plays out. 17, Tennessee. They should be somewhat improved this year. Borderline, top 25, somewhere in that range last year. But Nico should be an instant improvement over Joe Milton. Tennessee should be all right this year. 16, Utah. You've got Cam Rising coming back. That in its own right gives you kind of the odds to almost win every game with Cam Rising. He's a proven winner. Him combined with Kyle Whittingham as head coach, and with the new look Big 12 that is anybody's for the taking, Utah definitely could win that conference. 15, Michigan, probably a team that is the biggest question mark for me. They could be a top 10 team. They could be out of the top 25 completely. A lot of change on this roster. If Alex Orji can hit at quarterback, Michigan should be okay. 14, LSU, despite what they've lost to the NFL, they have a good schedule. They are pretty talented still. Garrett Nussmeier is kind of the key here. If he can hit a quarterback, LSU should be in the college football playoff probably. 13, NC State. This is probably Dave Doran's most talented team he has had. Brings in Grayson McCall at quarterback. I'm curious to see how they look this year. I think they could be one of the teams out of, probably definitely in the top 5 in the ACC, but definitely one of the teams that could win it. Number 12, Miami. Another team in the ACC that could win it. I think this is Mario Cristobal's most talented team he has had. Now, they do play Florida in week 1. That's a game to watch right there. Should be a toss-up. Number 11, Notre Dame. Riley Leonard comes in at quarterback. They've got a top 5 defense in the country. If Riley Leonard can stay healthy at quarterback, Notre Dame should make the playoff. They play A&M this week. Number 10, Oklahoma State. Top 5 in returning production. Made the Big 12 championship last year despite having a really up and down year. I think Mike Gundy is kind of in the driver's seat to run the new look Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas gone. Oklahoma State's in good shape this year to win the Big 12. Number 9, Clemson. This is really just giving Dabo the benefit of the doubt. You've got Cade Klubnik back. Can he finally get over that hump and win the ACC championship? As of right now, I think they should be the favorite. Number 8, Oregon. This is probably a lot lower than a lot of people would have them. I think they're talented, but I need to see it from Dan Lanning against the better competition. Number 7, Ole Miss. They return a lot. All right, they do lose Quinshon Judkins, but with what they bring in the transfer portal on defense, as well as having Jaxson Dart back, they should be a playoff team. Number 6, Missouri, kind of a slept-on, really good year last year. They return their quarterback, Brady Cook. They return their receiver, Luther Burden, who you could argue is one of the top 5, if not the top receiver in the country. And really with their schedule, I don't see Missouri missing the playoff. Number 5, Texas. So a lot of people actually have them higher. And Quinn Ewers is back, but they kind of have to replace every other skill position on offense. So if their offense can click, I think they'll be in good shape. Number 4, Penn State. Now, this is higher than a lot of people would have them, but that defense combined with what I think they have on offense, as well as Michigan taking a little step back, I think this is a year Penn State kind of finally sends a message to the country. Number 3, Alabama. Now, this team is sort of a question mark. Yes, they are talented. Yes, Kalen DeBoer has won at Washington, but how is his offense going to merge with Jalen Milroe? If it can click, I think Alabama could legitimately win the college football playoff this year. Number 2, Georgia. You can make an argument that they should be number 1 for sure. Similar to Texas, though, they've got Carson Beck at quarterback, but they lose Ladd McConkey. They lose Brock Bowers. And I know they played without him a little bit last year, but still kind of replacing them is a little different of an animal, as far as all season. And number 1, Ohio State, probably the most talented team right now off of, just looking at each and every player. They have loaded up in the transfer portal. They bring in Caleb Downs from Alabama at safety, former 5-star. They bring in Will Howard from Kansas State, and they're loaded. All right, they bring in Quinshon Judkins as well from Ole Miss. They got Travion Henderson back. They've got JT Sawyer, JT Tuimalele. They're absolutely stacked. If Ryan Day can't make the playoff this year, if he can't beat Michigan this year, it might be time for a change. And I've been one that hasn't even said that. But if he can't get over the hump with this roster, he might have some issues. But that is my new look top 25 going in the next week. I'm still used to been saying next year since we've been going over this offseason all the time. But going into next week, this is my new top 25. Let me know yours. Who would you move up? Who would you move down? If you do take anybody out, who would you put in? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.